On my way to Yosemite National Park last week, um, I was traveling, of course, from here. I took Highway 41 north. And as you take Highway 41 north, when you get to the park entrance, you have to continue down. And many of you who've been to Yosemite National Park, you know it normally is such a very beautiful drive. And as I was going into the park, of course, came to um, Wawona Tunnel, which today most people know it as Tunnel View. And I've been through it so many times, and of course, just like always, um, I went through the tunnel, and of course, at the end of the tunnel, they do have these magnificent views where you can take pictures, and many people from all over the world come to photograph Yosemite from the end of Tunnel View or Wawona Tunnel. So, after having um, gone through the tunnel and going down into the valley, having a chance to spend some time there in prayer, meditation, and study, and of course, many of you who follow the Ark, you know I put up a couple of videos from down there. Um, on the way back, it was still like daylight, and but it had started getting dark. And at that time, many people come to that place because it's a very um, uh, photo. It's a photo opportunity, and it's beautiful. To be able to take a picture, you can get El Capitan, you can get Half Dome, you can get I think they're called the Three Brothers, and anyway, it's iconic. But as I uh, was on my way out and I was going through Tunnel View, I just entered into the tunnel and I was going and I realized, that it was unusually dark in the tunnel, and it's a long tunnel, and so uh, I could see the light, of course, at the end of the tunnel. But as I entered into the tunnel, I noticed that it was dark, darker than normal, and a um, another vehicle who was no doubt traveling to get to Yosemite had also entered into the tunnel. And when the person entered into the tunnel, um, immediately he flashed his lights like flap flap, which is a signal to turn your lights on. And I was like, oh man, that's why it seems dark in this tunnel, because my light was not on personally, so that I could see I could see right where I am, even though I could see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. I had just forgot, because of taking pictures and just having my mind. I had just forgot to turn my lights on, and but I did notice. I said, "Man, it is darker than usual." As soon as he did that, I, of course, hit the lights, and they came on, and I was like, "All right, then I'm good," because now I have 2 points of light. I not only have the light, quote unquote, at the end of the tunnel, but I also have the light that is with me. And the light that is with me, which is my light, the light to the vehicle, is shining literally right in front of me. And I didn't really think much of it. Drove through the tunnel, stopped, took a bunch more pictures, and then, of course, headed headed on down to make another video. And on my way down the hill, um, I don't know what made me do this, but I decided that I was going to have another look at the entrance to the tunnel. So, of course, I did. And it just as plain as day said, turn your lights on. Just a simple little message. Turn your lights on. Uh, don't stop moving. You know, something simple like that. And I think it also says something like, of course, don't pass or whatever. But for the most part, turn your lights on and don't stop moving. And so I said, wow, very, very interesting that that simple instruction has been put in place to to save lives and to help people make it from one end of the tunnel to the other. So I was going down the hill and just kind of meditating on that for a moment and decided to do some research. And really, this is our meditation for tonight, or whenever you're watching this video. uh, so, the first thing you notice or that you research concerning the Wawona Tunnel is that the tunnel itself, of, of course, it didn't start off a tunnel. Uh, it started off a problem. It started off as a roadblock, and it was a massive problem because obviously the the choices that the engineers were faced with were uh, very, if they wanted to get to the park on this highway, the choices were very slim. They didn't have many choices. Um, First of all, that particular tunnel is or was blasted through solid granite rock. So why did they have to do that? Because after getting a road up there, they realized something. They said, uh, geographically speaking, there is no way when it comes to engineering that they could have built a road, you know, around the mountain or around the rock. It was impossible for the sheer face of the rock that the tunnel um, was, or what that the hole was tunneled through. So the first thing was it was a very sheer mountain, and they couldn't go around it. They also realized that this huge rock presented such a problem that they could not go over it. Huge problem. They were like, they thought about it. The engineers said, no, we can't do it. There's no way that we could actually, put a road, a highway over this mountain, over this rock. There's just no way. So It was it was too wide. I'm talking about this problem that they couldn't go around it, and that mountain is so high that they couldn't put a road over it, and the mountain was so low that they couldn't go under it. So what did they do? They decided to tunnel through it. Now, imagine what most people must have said when they said, "We're gonna just why don't we just blast our way through this thing?" It was like, okay, the truth of the matter is, if we want to continue this road with this big, massive granite rock in our way, we would end up have to blast through almost a mile. I want you all to think about how far a mile is. A mile of granite using an I think I wrote it down somewhere. If I didn't, this was in the early 1900s. A mile of granite using dynamite. This tunnel had to be wide enough um, so that you could get a highway to pass through it. It had to be tall enough so that you can get huge buses and trucks and supplies and things like that through it. And it had to have all of the proper ventilation put in because of the length of the tunnel. The carbon dioxide from the cars coming in and out would build up and it would become hazardous to the health of the um, people, visitors who would come in and out the tunnel. Um, Besides that, there was other problems that this rock presented, and one of the problems was that the rock itself is porous, so therefore it's always dripping water into the rock. Or down. So they had to find a way of ventilation to also keep it dry, to keep it safe, and it took them 3 years. It was in 1930. It took them 3 years, and in that day, it cost just to build that tunnel. In 1930, it cost $850,000, which today would be closer to $13 million to dig that tunnel. But somewhere along the line, somebody said it'll be worth it in order for us to create a passage where people could drive their automobiles from the valley floor, which that's where I live. I live in the valley. They could drive from the valley floor up Highway 41 and drive all the way into Yosemite Valley. So when it came to the money, they realized, they said, what we're going to do is we're going to pitch this to the powers that be, national, federal, local governments, and let them know how wonderful it would be if they would fund this particular project and how it would open up a passageway for everybody. And of course, they were able to get it done, but not until they had blasted, and this number's so high, 275 tons of blasting powder. And one of the uh, One of the historians said that the 275 tons that was used to blast through this rock could only blast through around a foot, like a few feet at a time. That's it. Big old blast and just a couple of feet. Then a big old huge blast and then just a couple of feet. And workers did this constantly, 275 tons of blasting powder, moving out rock the whole time, 3 years, with their lives on the line at risk to do what? Tunnel through. Um, there's an old song that says, "Have you any rivers that you feel are uncrossable?" And then the next line says, "And have you any mountain that it says that you can't tunnel through?" And then he keep going. He said, "But Yah, see, he specializes." That's talk more, man. Help Israel on this evening. They said, but Yah specializes in what? In things that are impossible, seemingly impossible, and he can do what no other. And then here's the word power. So that word power and this idea of blasting powder have a relationship with one another. Watch this, and and the power of our King Yahushua Hamashiach uh, is able to tunnel through the granite rock mountain problems that we face in our lives, that we face as a people, and of course, ultimately, as we face as a nation. And the song says, and he can do, that song says, what no other, no other power um, can do. And so the engineers worked out the problem on paper first, and then came back and said, it can be done. And it took 3 years plus for them to make it from one side of the mountain to tunnel through all the way to the other side of the mountain. And it was completed in 3 years. In 3+ years. All of the hard work had been done. In 3+ years, all of the granite that stood between the high and lofty mountains of Yosemite. And the winding road of 41, that obstacle was gone. After 3.5 years of work, there was given to the average man the opportunity to see the raging rivers, the majestic waterfalls, Bridal Veil Fall, Vernal Fall, Yosemite Fall, to gaze upon one of the 7 wonders of the world after 3.5 years of hard labor, work, power. Man was afforded the opportunity to walk on the beautiful valley floor where flowers, lilies, meadows, and streams, wildlife, butterflies, joyfully and seemingly carelessly can frolic their lives away. But it was because they said it can be done. And when the power was then added and the manpower and the work was put in, the tunnel was complete. And I could almost hear somebody saying while they were working, how did you know when you were nearing the other side? I said, well, we had it measured out. I gotta get this. This is a meditation. They said, so we just kept measuring. After every blast, we took a record of how much we had advanced. Every blast, every time we blasted and the heavy granite rock was removed, we'd measure it. We knew it was 0.8 miles to the other side. So you ask him, you say, so what made y'all keep going? What was your great motivation? He said, man, it was rough, it was hard, but we knew if we could complete it, we knew if we could just get to that 0.8 mile mark, one of these blasts would provide for us the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel. He said when that last blast went off and that red light shot through that tunnel, you could hear the shouts, the screams, the admiration, the celebration. Why? Because all of the hard work and all of the hard labor that afforded normal people like you and me an opportunity to see one of the 7 wonders of the world was complete and successful. Well, Zion, our King, Yahushua Hamashiach, knew that there was something even greater than a granite mountain standing between you and that holy city. It was something that needed more than dynamite power. It needed it needed the power of Almighty Yah to do what? Connect us with the city. See, Zion, we had to have somebody go ahead of us and do the heavy lifting. Somebody with more power than us had to do the blasting. Someone with more brains than us had to do the engineering. Someone with more stamina than us had to do the labor and the suffering. Someone more righteous than us had to pay the price. And hallelujah, our King Yahushua made a way for us out of seemingly no way. He did for us what we could not do for ourselves. He connected us, his people, back to the Father, which gives us now access from earth to what y'all call heaven, the holy city. We can get in because of what he has done. He did the heavy work, the hard lifting. Now watch this. Now that the work has been done and everybody's shouting that the way has been made to make it safely from here to over yonder. All that they asked was that if you're going through the tunnel, turn your lights on. They don't ask you to help blast the tunnel. They don't ask you to help clean the tunnel. They don't ask you to maintain the tunnel. They don't ask you to do anything. All they ask is, as you enter into this tunnel, would you just turn your lights on? It'll help you. Would you just turn your light on? It will help others to see you. Can you turn your light on? If you can just turn your light on, you will see that you are making progress right where you are, even though you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So, what is our light? And what is Yah asking of us? He's asking of us to turn the light on. Zion, the word. Let me get that verse. Let me get the verse. Go to Psalm. I want Psalm 119. I want Psalm 119. And when you get to Psalm 119, go to where it says noon, which is going to be 105. Let me put it in this. I don't know if you can see it. This is our grandfather wrote this, talking about Torah. He said, "Thy word is a lamp unto my feet, and then he says, and a light unto my path." So watch what he's saying. He said, your word to me is not only the light at the end of the tunnel that encourages me to keep on keeping on. He said, but your word to me is also like the light or the lamps that I carry with me when I'm walking, so that what? I can see each step and don't get discouraged along the way. And why is it that we should be encouraged along the way? Knowing that our King did all the heavy lifting. That's why. So we should, watch this. Remember I told you, when I entered into the tunnel, I said, man, this is unusually dark, because I had forgot to turn the light on. And some of you going through life right now, you're saying, it's unusually dark right now. So let the Mori encourage you with the words of Grandpa Dawid. Turn the light of Torah on. Watch this. At your feet, at your pathway, where you are. Let me be to you what that passerby was to me, a reminder. He flashed his lights, click, click. I said, oh, I know why it's difficult and more and dark this time through, because I forgot to turn my light on. And some of you all need to realize that your light needs to be turned on as we go through the tunnel. Watch this. The passageway that has already been made by our King. And watch, and look, and then we can enjoy the view. We can we can uh bask in the light of the other side. Tunnel view is one of the world's most glorious views on earth. It's one of the most glorious views ever among men. But as I said before, it didn't start off like that. It started off a problem, which was made, the problem was made into a prize. And now it's photographed, and more people have taken pictures of tunnel view than any other tunnel in the world. Zion, all I'm telling you is, or I'm just trying to, hey, turn your lights on at your feet. And then keep your eyes on the light at the end of the tunnel. Light at your feet so that you know where you're going. Eyes on the light at the end of the tunnel that'll give you hope and encouragement to keep on keeping on. Because when you finally make it through, you'll be able to say like I did, hallelujah, 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 and Toda Rabbah Yah, for allowing us to walk in your footsteps and to reap the wonderful benefits of the work that you've done for us. That great work on Golgotha. That great work. You gave your life for us. because we couldn't do it for ourselves. And the great work that you're going to do after having risen from the dead to receive us to you. Wow. And all you're asking for us to do is turn your lights on. I'm giving you the light. Just turn it on and keep it moving all the way to the kingdom. Hallelujah. 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 Support the work of the art. If these messages are encouraging, insightful, meditative, be so kind to support us so that we can continue to support you. One love, Zion. Shalom.